So I want to first of all state my complete enthusiastic support for Kim for her run, her successful run for representative of the 73rd district. And I think she'll, in a few minutes, give you an idea of why that is. So I represent two different constituencies. I am a retiree from Wright State University, and I'm also I was a professor of biochemistry and molecular biology, and that, of course, is a public education teacher. And so I became more interested in Kim's campaign because of the fact that what's been happening at the state level for the last few years, where local funds to local cities and townships and counties have been cut dramatically from the state level, which essentially cuts down county services and city services. And so this got me a little bit irritated. I can tell you that the bottom line of all of this is that my property taxes have gone through the sky since 2008. I don't know how you all have felt about that. And this motivated me to seek a candidate who was interested in serving the public, not vice versa. So with regards to my enthusiastic support for Kim, as you will see in a minute, projects diligence, honesty. She's people-oriented and will focus on serving the people. She has a great business background. And one of the things that impressed me most about Kim was that she's been attending Greene County Commission meetings for the last year and a half. And I got to tell you, she's got a strong intestinal, she's got a good intestinal fortitude, there's no doubt about that. So I admire her for that. And then I guess I would say one of the things that really has impressed me is her energetic nature. And I'm ready for change. I don't know how you are. And all I can say to you is that I couldn't be more enthusiastic about a candidate, and I look forward to working with the next state representative for the 73rd district, Kim McCarthy, who will now speak to you.
I'm not very practiced at this, but I am practiced at politics, so bear with me. All right, so as Larry just said, I'm Kim McCarthy. I live in Sugar Creek Township, and I am the Democratic candidate for state rep for District 73. Yeah! I am a mother. I'm an accountant. I'm an immigrant. I'm also an activist. I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm doing this because, like many of you, I have a fire in my belly that just won't quit. What else am I supposed to do? Thanks, everyone, for coming. Great crowd. I appreciate your support more than you'd know. So I've been in this fight on many different levels for a while now. Occupy Wall Street, when it began back in 2011, was what woke me up. And sure, people looked at that at the time and were like, oh, that's so radical, look at those crazy people. But you know what? 6 years later, here we are, and people are finally realizing that the corporate influence in our government is destroying our country. Our politicians are bought and sold by a small group of corporate interests that, are not working for the people. So to get me to here, I started in November of 16, the dreadful election that put Trump into the White House. My outrage level was sky high, and I was at a loss at what I could do. So I thought I was doing a lot before the election, but apparently what I was doing was not enough because it did not stop what happened. I certainly couldn't go camp out in Washington, D.C. every day, But I could show up locally to the Greene County Commission. I figured this is where it starts, right? At the grassroots. So I started going. The first day I went there, it was literally me and the Greene County Tea Party chairperson. Side by side, two of us, the only people in attendance beside the people that actually had to be there. So, I was welcomed by the commissioners initially. They were like, "Oh, what are you doing here? What's your name?" And they were very nice, but it didn't take long for them to change their minds on that. I think the second time that I got up to speak, one of the commissioners, I'll say it, Kugler, said to me, "Oh, you have such a pretty blouse on today. Why don't you come on down and share your story with us?" Yeah, so I was thinking my level of outrage was going to decrease by doing something constructive, like becoming the watchdog for the Greene County residents, but no, not so much. As time went on and I started to look into their budget using my accounting skills to do that, their reluctance just continued to grow at people being involved in the process. I invited others to join me, and together we started to understand how the county operated and what their role was in our everyday lives. Because, who knows that normally, right? And then at one point when I was standing up to question them again, the chairperson said to me, "Look, if you don't like our decisions, maybe you should just run for office yourself." Now, who am I to, complain? Who am I to not listen to a chairman of a board? So, right, here I am. So one of the first things I asked the board to do when I got up there was to videotape their meetings. Simple request. They had written minutes only, which I guess is the law, but most municipalities across the region are always videoing and putting it up there. So I asked them to videotape so that other residents could have an opportunity to follow along with the proceedings. They eventually reluctantly agreed, but then they continued to stall on doing it for months and months. Then they issued new guidelines that unreasonably limited our ability to speak on the record at their meetings. They limited the topics that could be discussed to just the agenda items of that day. So the people that I saw come to those meetings over the last year or so, there was many residents that just showed up one time because they had an issue with something that was happening in the community. But now with these new rules, that person would be told to go away. That if it's not on the agenda, you cannot speak. So they did that, and then they moved the public comment section to the beginning of the meeting. So now we have to speak only on agenda items, but now we have to speak on them before they've spoken on them. So big thumbs down. And then just last week, they finally uploaded the first video of the meetings. They put it on YouTube. They put no tags, no description. It just says meeting. So if anyone's actually on YouTube and searching for the Greene County Commission meetings, they'll never find it. Then they're delaying the upload by 1 week and 1 day so that if somebody sees the meeting and sees something that they're concerned about, they no longer would have the opportunity to speak on it because you can only speak on it the following week. Then, at the beginning of the video, they also claim that they have a right to edit the video. And they will edit out any comments that they deem to constitute a public disturbance or entail slander. So if citizens call them out in public regarding why they think the board is failing us, we are at risk of being accused of slander and being censored. So that is what Greene County does when people get involved in the process. It's not good enough. So I see all this, and I see how the state cutbacks, like Larry mentioned, affect our communities. They affect the quality of the services that we rely on, including those of our schools. So I decided that instead of running for that county seat, that I could better serve the people by running for the state seat where I can actually write legislation that will put the interests of us first, and so I can work to make our county and our state a better place to be. All right, so having acted as that county watchdog for more than a year now, I have learned how the system works, and I've learned how to stand up and demand that the citizens be recognised. And that means all of our citizens, right? Not just those who can afford to purchase their representation through high-priced lobbyists and political super PACs. And together with my accounting and small business skills and my ability to advocate for those who need it, I think I'm pretty well suited to serving as your legislative representative in Columbus, in my humble opinion, of course. All right, I can't do this alone, obviously, and that's why you're all here. I wanted to introduce my team, but Jordan kind of did that, but I'm going to do it again. So you met Jordan. He's my campaign manager. He told you his story. He is amazing, and I feel so lucky to have him. 24 years old, people. That's what I need, right? Tanner Stanton, my treasurer. Big round of applause for Tanner. And Chris Harbour in the back, new on the team, field director. We have Andy Valeri over here. He's policy, communications, and then some. Kevin is our data man, keeping all the data in line so we know who to hit and where to hit. Put your hand up. Dorothy Bouquet, where is she? Yeah, she is my research girl, and we are each other's Batman and Robin, is how we like to think of each other. Erin Belangia Sanchez in the back, my Occupy Wall Street friend, doing our research, political director. And then we have various other people like Larry Prochaska, Dave Brown, Dawn Bellinger, Ryan Capo, Terry Chance. I have an amazing group of people who are all part of my team, and I can't be more happy. All right, so just as many of us have been organising around various causes and issues of late, the same thing needs to happen with this campaign. Not just between now and November, but after I win the seat too. We must, as a citizenry, be more engaged in our local community politics. Showing up to vote is not enough. Even going out to campaign for people is not enough. We must get to know our neighbours, and we need to unite behind the common issues that we all share. We all want good neighbourhoods, right? We all want strong schools, and we want decent, high-quality jobs. And we want to feel a sense of safety and community amongst ourselves. So to accomplish this, we have to lead the charge here. We have to break down those walls that currently divide us, and if we unite around issues that matter to everyone, that affect us all, we might just stand a chance. If we aren't engaged and we're not insisting on having leadership that represents us, we're not going to get the results that we're looking for or that we need. This responsibility belongs to us all, not just me. Everyone in this room. We see what happens when we don't talk about politics, right? Is that the rule? Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about politics? I mean, what else do you talk about, right? I mean, politics affects everything about our lives, about our society, about our country. The whole world is affected by politics. On every level. We must know how it works, and we must get to know the people who we elect to serve us before we elect them. So, to that end, I want to introduce some other candidates who are in the room, who are part of what I like to think as the female power. Yes. All right, let's start with Susan Lopez. She's running for that county commission seat that I am so attached to in the back. Remember her name. She's in the primary. And then we also have Cindy Powell somewhere. Cindy, over here. She is running for clerk of courts in Greene County. And she does not have a primary opponent, right? She is the only Democrat on the ballot. We need to get some Democrats in there. And then also Ann Gorman is running for the 74th district. She could not be here tonight, but she's the other half of Greene County. So those in Xenia and everything east of there, she is your woman. And then, of course, Teresa Gasper, who's running for District 10 against Mike Turner. She couldn't be here either, but we've got to do this. All right, so let's talk money. So instead of being judged on my platform or my experience or my motivations, I'm going to be judged by both my opponent and those who would support me by my ability to raise money. As wrong as this obviously is, right now I have to play the game in order to get in to change the game. So this situation reiterates once again why campaign finance reform is critical to the survival of our democracy. How do we expect to have people represented by our officials when we're not the ones paying them? They are, out of control. So, because I'm going to be the voice of the people, then I have made the decision to not accept any kind of PAC or corporate money from anyone. So in order to be on a level playing field with the incumbent, I have to ask the people that I'm actually going to be representing to support me. But just like many hands make light work, many people make low dollar amounts for us to contribute. So I ask each of you tonight to invest in our vision and to invest in my team so that we can effectively work to be your voice and your vote in the Statehouse. We have Democrats running in 99 of the 99 House seats this year. Many of them just like me, people who are fired up and have passion and want to be an actual public servant instead of just be a public official, right? It's an exciting time to be running, honestly. You know, I don't know if I could be doing this, you know, at any other time. We're on the edge. We can win back the House, and yeah, I just want to reassure you that there is hope on the horizon. So in Ohio, the GOP has held the majority for the last 25 years. And their trickle-down economic voodoo has done so much damage to our state in that time. We now sit 39th in the ranking of schools across the country. We have people that have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to stay alive. And then citizens dying from lack of access to health care, the opioid epidemic destroying our communities. Our leaders fail us when they choose to serve their corporate donors over the needs of the people that they have pledged to represent. All right, here's an example for you. Could you imagine what our country would look like if the drive for profits were taken out of the equation for how we provide health care? We don't even have to imagine, actually, because pretty much every other wealthy nation in the world provides it to their citizens. You know, it's less expensive, it's more efficient than what we have. So obviously, my country of birth is Australia, and they realized that back in the 70s is when we put single-payer healthcare into our country. I had that growing up. It kept my family healthy. It also took care of my father as he went through a 10-year journey with cancer. He was able to die with dignity, and he did not leave my mother in financial ruin. And then what about the college system here? $1 trillion of student debt hanging over the heads of our children. Ohio itself has the highest level of student debt in the nation. I got my business degree in Australia for zero cost. And I would imagine that if I had that huge debt when I graduated, like everyone else here, that I would never have left, gone overseas, I wouldn't be here now, I wouldn't have the family I have, I wouldn't have the experience I had. None of that wouldn't happen if I hadn't lived in a country that prioritized education, and frankly, it prioritized people in general. So we deserve more. We deserve more than this. There is a better way than what we're living right now. and I am determined to help make that change for the better possible with your support and to help lead us towards a more equitable and a more just society. It's time we had a legislature that is committed to putting people first.